What's going on, guys? SeeJay here. Thanks for tuning into my very first video covering Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth. I wanted to get into content creation for this game because I've been now playing it for roughly 3 months, and I gotta say I truly do enjoy it. I really never made or played a lot of mobile games in the past. On this channel, I actually used to do content creation for a lot of Blizzard games, mostly Overwatch, and then transition into like Hearthstone. Both was very competitive in. And so I stopped making videos probably like 2 years ago now. And I've been playing this now for a couple of months. And I know it's like a small niche community. There's not a lot of people playing it, but hopefully we see that grow because I think it is a great game. And I wanted to get into content creation again. So I figured this is a game I truly enjoy. I've been playing a lot of it. And I just kind of hit level 60. So I feel like I have some good knowledge to share with the community, and I wanted to give like a first impressions of what I think after pretty much going through like, that first 3 months of going from learning the game all the way to I'm level 60 in a pretty good guild with 7 different clans within our Pants of Hulk guild, pushing through all 4 chapters, hitting a chest 3, now with the glyphs and everything added to the game. So take a little bit of the timeline on it. I know this game came out, I want to say it was back in like April or May of this year. I don't really remember how I even heard of the game, if I'm being honest, and shout out to a couple of content creators in this space. But Veiled Shot, great content creator. I watched a lot of his Diablo 4 videos on his main channel. I think somehow it maybe came to me as like a recommendation from his channel to watch his Heroes of Middle-earth channel, and so I watched it and I'm like, oh, that game kind of seems cool. Like, reminds me of Raid Shadow Legends, which is probably the only mobile game that I've ever played in this type of genre. And I didn't mind Raid, but like I played it years after it came out, so like I felt so far behind, so many things to learn and do, so many new characters already in the game. I was like, this is just too much. Like, I'm just behind the 8 ball. I'm not gonna do it, right? And so I've never played like Marvel Strike Force, never played Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. I know there's like relatable games in this space and probably games that I'd enjoy because I've heard good things about them. But again, they've been out for so long, I didn't really want to go into a game where like I'm so far behind. And even though like they kind of help new players push you into the direction of being able to make an impact early on if you want to spend just a little bit of money, which I'm not a free to play player. I'm not a big spender. I'm a very light spender. We can kind of go into my account a little bit to kind of talk about what I've done in this game and sort of where I am. But yeah, I would say this game came out. I started in August. I think I just missed like the Arwen Elladan sort of marquee into the Legolas Gimli marquee. I'm trying to remember exactly which one it was when I started playing, but regardless, I joined the game in August. I've been around for about 3 months. I dinged 60. I want to say it was about a week and a half ago. So just finally hit it. And so like if we kind of like deep dive a little bit into the game, again, this isn't going to be like a like what does everything do, like how to play the game. It's more like first impressions. I'd love to keep making daily content on this channel. With the holidays, it might be a little bit sporadic until we get past the new year, and then I kind of really want to dive in and try to make some good quality videos every day for you guys. And maybe we can go into a lot of these little, these little nodes of like what is supplies and guild and play and arena and all these other little buttons here. But generally speaking, from like a just kind of quick first impressions, is it worth playing in 2024 sort of video, I do think it is. I think it's a great game. I really hope that they push some advertising and marketing into the game to drive more players into it, because I would say if you came to play the game and that first like 1 to 30 is great because it's a lot thrown at you. If I recall, it was just like you kept getting energy. You got to play for a while. Now I'm at a point where like I can kind of efficiently min-max my time in this game and get on when things reset at 11 p.m. Eastern my time, and just sort of do like that 10 minutes of stuff, right? Like your dailies, and do your arena, and then probably be done, close the game, close it out, wake up the next morning, and then do my other arena like first thing. And like my dailies are done, right? Like, and that's sort of the most important thing to do for the day, because that's when you do like your refreshes on your energy for your normal and your in your guild energy. So there's not a lot to do every day. Like, you kind of just logging in and grabbing your bonus chests, or you're kind of looking at the supplies to grab like whatever's kind of refreshed throughout the day. So it's unfortunate there's not a lot, but I will say, and what I was getting to is, if you're trying to play this game and you're really just playing it through the lens of the game, you're sort of like on your own island in this niche. And if you try to join guilds that are sort of just out there in the game space, it's going to try to recommend you guys to guilds that like fit the bill that makes sense to you. But if you go to the official Lord of the Rings Discord server, or Discord server, Jesus, or the Lord of the Rings unofficial, there's a lot of great folks out there and a lot of recruiting guilds that are actually taking things a little bit more serious. So if you're trying to play the game on a more serious note and actually push the raid, which is probably like the most important thing in the game that it has to offer right now, both from like a rewards perspective as well as just like content. And the thing that I love, that the way that this game's designed for the raid, and one of the things that's great, is you can spend as little or as much time as you want in the raid, right? So like when the raid is open, and usually you need 2,000 keys, and when you open the raid, it'll be, you know, you got to hit a threshold, right, to unlock chapter 2 and then chapter 3 and chapter 4, and it's generally every day for 4 days. And we usually run out on Mondays. Like tomorrow, I'm not sure, things will be different because it's Christmas Eve as I'm recording this. Tomorrow's Christmas Day, so maybe we're gonna postpone it one day out just to, you know, not have people miss the raid. But usually, like, you know, your Monday, you're gonna do your raid and you're going to push chapter 1, and then if you clear it, which our guild clears it, then you go to chapter 2, then chapter 3, then chapter 4. So there's something to do every day for like 4 days. And if you're busy, you can go into the raid and you can just auto it. And it's not ideal, but you could auto it and get a reasonable score. Most teams can probably do at least okay. If you do like a chapter 2, you could probably like 300k it. Your goal is like, usually as like a low spender, or like not a mega Kraken whale, like 900k is like a really good score to aim for. But as we go into my account, you kind of see like some of the mistakes I made along the way. So what I like is, if you're busy, you can spend 10 minutes and push your 5 scores. You get 5 teams you can run through the raid, and then you're done 10-15 minutes later. Or if you got some downtime, you can spend an hour per team and try to just min-max that like perfect RNG run to get that best score you've got. So I like that, because you're not locked down in a mobile game of like, oh man, I have to commit like 2 hours every day for 4 days. I can just like, oh, I got time, I'm gonna try hard, I want to beat my score. Or today's just not the day for me, I don't have time, like let me just get my scores in there so like I can help the overall guild, even though it's gonna probably hurt me from like an individual score, week over week comparison, if you're like tracking that kind of stuff. So I really like the concept of the guild and the raids. And I think if you're trying to play this game a little bit more hardcore, you got to find some guilds outside of the game, because you're not going to find a very competitive guild in the game, because the chat in the game is dead. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It's not really on and popping in any way. So raids, awesome feature. The other big update, a lot of people have already discussed and talked about it, but you'll see the Glyphs. Glyphs is this whole UI interface update. The Glyphs is just an awesome addition to the game. It adds another layer of just kind of min-maxing your characters, which I think is awesome. I love it. I haven't really, 5-star is kind of like your sort of just your threshold, right, of putting these things onto characters. I wish they did add some quality of life features, which they probably will. There's not really a way to filter these, and I'm too lazy to like scroll through all mine and find the best one I have that's like a 3 or 4 perfect roll of like damage, crit chance, crit damage, and whatever, like focus or whatever the character would be best suited for. To find those on whatever characters now have glyphs and or whatever ones are in the bank here, and then try to figure out which ones I'm missing or need, to then make sure that I'm spending my further resources of upgrading these glyphs specifically on the best ones I've got, because there's not a way to filter it. I'd have to just manually go and be like, okay, like, is this one better than that one? I'm not doing that. Like, if I was like the difference of like, oh man, I'm so close to getting to that next threshold, sure, but I'm not doing it. So until they add the quality of life feature, it's not going to happen. If we want to go into my account a little bit and kind of talk about the mistakes I think I made along the way, I would say I'm kind of like a Pokemon gotta catch them all type of player. So it's a fun problem to have, because I've got 64 out of 68 characters in this game, and kind of went on my way to collect some of them that I'm not even using, which again is probably, from a min-max perspective, a bad choice. But from like a how I like to play the game perspective, that's just who I am. I like to get like everybody and get them all to be like decent. But the correct way to play this from like an efficiency and like a min max perspective, you'd much prefer to have one like 7-star gear 7 gear 8 team that can push 900k in the raid on chapter 3 than like 300 mediocre 300k mediocre teams. So that's definitely a mistake that I made on my account. You can see I guess I'm favorited up here, so it's a little bit out of order, but these are because I've sort of tried to mentally tell myself you need to tune in. You need to pick some characters and go all in. And Rivendell and Haradrim are strong teams. They're all farmable on my account now, and I want to get them to be like my 2 strongest like Shadow and Light side teams. So I'm focusing on them 100%. So the guys that are start here, Frodo's up there as like if I can get to him with some extra currency throughout the day, I will. Same with Balin down here. Same with Keely, and same with the goblins, because you kind of have to look at it from like the short term and the long term, right? So like short term, I got to get these 2 teams completely built out, get them to like that 10k plus threshold power level. But then like a little bit more longer term, Thorin's Expedition's a really good group. Rumel and Orphan, I believe, will be coming out in like 2 weeks as like hopefully a free to play like hard node. And so I kind of want to add them to like my list of characters to go after, because I do like that team. And I like the dwarfs, and I like, like they just have a lot of synergy with like Thorin and the whole group. So now that Lord Balin's been moved over, I've been focusing him a little bit as much as I can every day. And then Rumil and Orphan, I'll be 100% focusing once they're free to play, accessible. And then Feely Keely, again, just because of eventually when I get Thorin, I kind of want to have these characters a little bit along the way. And then I'm working on like 1 goblin at a time at this point, because you're going to need 5-star goblins in order to even unlock Thorin at 5-star. So like I missed him this go around, but I do hope to get him the second time around. So that's sort of why like these guys are starred, but majority of my currency is currently going to like, these 6, which this guy here, Bekaloo, is going to be a guild farm, so he's pretty free. And then the other 5 are going to be your Rivendell and your Haradrim teams. And then as we go through, like I said, I went pretty wide, which is the mistake I made. I don't have any 7-stars. I do technically have 2 that I can promote, but I'm just saving the money because A, I'm short, and B, they're not really characters I want to like hard invest into, at least not right now. Like spending $1 million gold on them just doesn't seem to be the play, even though it would help my arena team because they're both on my arena squad right now. But you can see that, I do have a lot of characters that are like sitting around that 6-star, that 5-star, and so forth. A lot of 3 stars, a lot of 4 stars. A lot of guys are like level 30 plus, level 40 plus. A lot of gear tier 5s, gear tier 4s. So I went pretty wide, which again is a mistake because it does hinder your resources. Whereas like now, if I had the resources that I put into some of these characters that I'm not really interested in upgrading in the immediate future, because I'm so focused on Rivendell and Haradrim, like now I'm hurting where I need the character node farms, but I also need the crests. I need the candles, like the resources to get their gear up. So it's a little bit of like an oops, but it's whatever. Like I like my roster. I like that I have a lot of characters, and then to kind of go into a little bit of like how much money I spent in the game and where I kind of am when it comes to like spending. I haven't spent much. I don't know exactly how much I've spent, but I'd say it's probably in the realm of like 100 to 150 bucks. And so if I kind of look through my characters, I bought a couple of like the 80 shard packs because the characters that were released that I thought were strong and I liked their kits, I wanted to grab them. So you'll see Rumel and Orphan, when they do come out, I got a little bit of a head start because I bought both their packs a couple months ago to get them to 4-star. So they're already 4-star on my account. And then Bilbo and Bomber I thought were really strong too. So they're already 4-star. I already got them both up as well. So I'm pretty excited for those characters. Granted, now they're going to sit here and kind of just collect dust until they become farmable, but I wanted them. So 20 bucks. I don't think that's too much to spend on a game that I'm playing every day. I feel it's fair and supporting the company. But yeah, Rumel and Orphan too. So those are the only 4 I think I actually spent money on. I'm trying to remember if I did Black Beast. No, I didn't even do Black Beast, and I thought he was a cool character. So you can see most of these guys are going to be like just the 3-star marquee. I didn't spend any money on them. I'm just missing Mary and Elreda, but I don't really foresee me using Dunlin or, the Rangers anytime too soon either. So it's kind of whatever. But outside of those 4 $20 packs, I think I purchased a couple of random one-off things where it was like, I definitely bought the Road to Rivendell pack where you got like insane value. I didn't get it when the game, like when I first started playing because it was bugged or whatever, but when they did like that patch a month or two ago and that popped up, it was an amazing like extra because I was already farming Road to Rivendell. It's like more or less a free to play player. So getting those like huge shards boosted my Road to Rivendell team to like essentially 6-star instantly, which is great. So like if I look at my Road to Rivendell team here, you can see that you know, they're all 6 besides no, I'm sorry, they're all 6. Strider's almost gonna be 7, and then Frodo is gonna start, like I said, he was kind of starred because he's a little bit behind Merry, so I figured if I kind of get them closer, then once I got them to like maybe around 200 shards and I was 100 away, then maybe kind of bang out Pippin, and then just because Pippin's a guild node, right? So like it'll be way faster. So I figured that'd be kind of the strategy, and then I could get like this whole squad to 7-star for pretty cheap, considering Sam is free, Strider's free, Pippin's more or less free, and then you're just kind of just spending, you know, currency or your resources every day on Frodo and Merry. Pippin's a little shitty, just because he is like guild 1, right? So like I'm losing out on like the rear mats, which is really important. That's why like farming Beckloo right now is awesome because I'm getting, of course, like Beckloo shards, which I need for Haradrim, and I'm getting like rare shards as well, or rare ability materials. So I'm a little bit disappointed that like once I'm done Beckloo, there's no like one else in like that chapter 4, chapter 5 range. But I still have characters to farm in the guild nodes that are like on the earlier ones, so it's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. So anyways, my goal, Haradrim and Rivendell, like I said, pretty wide roster, not a tall roster, which definitely hinders like my scores in the raids from like a top team performer. I think like the best I've done is around like 600 or 700k on chapter 3 with Rivendell, which isn't bad for like a 35,000 power squad, but obviously you'd like to see like 900k on a couple of chapters with the Rivendell team. So you can see I'm like 185 power, 36,000 strongest squad, which is actually pretty bad. Like I feel like it should be closer to like a 25-30% from what I've seen on a lot of like accounts for like strongest squad power to your collection power. And you can see I'm like not even close. I'm like not even like 20% of my collection power to my strongest. And that's just because I have like 30,000, you know, squad power teams instead of like 50,000 teams and then a bunch of like 25s or whatever. But yeah, like I said, I hit 60 not too long ago. And so I just wanted to give like a little bit of like an insight. Couple other things in the game real quick. This video is already going much longer than I anticipated, so I apologize for the long rant here, but arena, kind of boring. You know, you do it a couple times a day. I'm in silver 1. It's kind of hard to climb out of there. Again, I don't have a really strong team. I don't have a meta team. I'm just using the free-to-play team, which is generally going to be your Rohan 3, which I'm actually not using Yothane. I'm using Strider here. And then Ugluk and Gaz, which they're just generally like, this is just a pretty good team. You could sub probably Strider out and put in Eothane, and it's just as good or even potentially better. He's just higher power, so I've been using Strider. But you know, you want to try to get into gold. I think gold is like a good spot for a free-to-play player or very light spender because you do get decent amount of additional gems for being in gold, which of course will equate to you know, just having that extra resources every day to kind of burn on whatever you really want to spend. And then sort of like I mentioned with the adventures, again, for some of like the newer players, not trying to dive into every little detail here, but this is the Sam's campaign with the apples. That's why Sam is a free. Once you gotta, you know, you got to get everyone up to a certain tier of star to then get Sam like that free next tier. But really nice to have as like a quick character to like 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 star without really like any in-game currency, right? Like the apples have to refresh, but like you're not going to use the apples on anything else. It's only for Sam. Store is pretty boring in my opinion. I'm always kind of looking out for like offers that I'm just like, oh man, there's no way like I wouldn't pick that up. And being Christmas Eve, I was like, we're gonna get a good deal today, aren't we? Like something I'm actually gonna consider. I don't know what I was thinking, considering Black Friday. I was hoping for the same thing, to actually maybe spend a little money in this game, and I didn't spend anything because I wasn't gonna drop $100 on any of those offers that they had. But limited time, thinking like, oh, Christmas specials. I know tomorrow's Christmas, but Christmas Eve, maybe they'd have something today. I mean, these aren't bad. Like 4,000 for $25 is, you know, 2,000 for 20. So like you're getting a good deal here. It might actually be worth buying this. I might consider it, but it's not one where I'm like, oh man, like great deal. Can't wait to pick it up. And then these are like not bad either for $20, but like I don't really need this stuff. I mean, you always need it, but I've got a couple hundred of like each of these, 209, not a crazy amount, but enough to hold me over for a bit. And like, it's just not going to spend 20 bucks on resources that I already have resources I'm sitting on. Like, I need the other stuff. Like, I need the crests and the other, filler stuff to get these guys to upgrade. I don't need like the generic, essences, right? So, not anything too exciting. The marquee release schedule's not bad. You get like what 2 or 3 characters a month, which is fun. Just sucks that they kind of can't be used for like 3 months unless you want to spend upwards of like 150 bucks per character, so you can buy them to 5-star, which isn't even gonna make them like super strong. You're sort of just still like not even probably gonna use them right until they're released to then get them to 6 and 7-star. So not a super fun thing. Supplies, cool little gimmick shop. It does suck some characters are locked behind these things. Not like the currency ones, but like one specifically that I'm a little bit sad about is Tabeb. It's nice that he's like kind of a free farm, right? But you only get this currency 3 times a week through the adventure resets daily. And so I mean you only get enough to buy like him through like 15 shards a week. So it's like, okay. I mean, this is just going to be a very long farm, and there's no way to really tune it down. Like, it's just going to be a very long farm. Unfortunate. Arena, great one here. Again, Goldbergs is just like a free grind for the goblins because I need them for Thorin, and then Legolas, we're just gonna kind of keep pumping him up because he's I need a bunch of 7-star elves, right, for the next go around on Elrond. I haven't really decided like which 5 I want to be my 5 when that time comes. So he's just one that I'm like, yeah, might as well. But yeah, I mean that's kind of like the account in a nutshell. I think again, first impressions, I love the game. I really do. It's a small niche community. I think if you really want to play it like from like a hardcore perspective, you definitely need to take it externally onto like Discord and like Reddit and kind of participate and be among those groups of people who are a little bit more dedicated to the game. Because like in game, if you like try to go to general chat or anything, like there's just nothing happening. Like you're kind of playing this game by yourself at that point. But I think it's fun. I think it's something that you can set aside a little bit of time a day that doesn't take a lot of your time. And I mean, what's better than like Lord of the Rings like universe, right? Like just the characters that they still have in the pipeline that they can release that aren't in the game yet, like Gandalf the White or Saruman, or like just some really cool characters that aren't even in. So I'm pretty excited for those as they just kind of keep releasing some stuff. But I do hope to see them push a little bit more in 2024 on like the marketing side and the advertising side, because I really don't see much for this game. And it's sad. I mean, even if you go to like Twitch, and I watch like a lot of, Twitch and whatnot, I think if I went to like Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle Earth the other day, there wasn't even a single streamer, like not one. And I know there's not a lot to stream in this game, but it's like not even one person streaming the game. So that's not something that you love to see. I didn't check like Star Wars or Marvel Strike Force, but just from like perspective, it definitely needs like a little bit of like a boost in player base, I think. So hopefully they do some stuff to help drive some additional players. But I do hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was, overall give you a little bit of insight of like what I think of the game after playing it for about 3 months as like a very light spender. I mean, I don't know if I call $100 very light, but I think if I'm spending $20-$30 in the game a month on average, it's not terrible. I think that's fair for a game that you're trying to support and not splurge too hard on. I spend $20-$30 every month? Maybe not. Depends on the characters they release, because most of the money I spent in this game is really just towards those like 80 shard packs on the marquees. But I do plan on trying to release daily content going forward. Maybe through the holidays will be a little bit sporadic, but I think as we get past the new year, I do want to try to make content every day talking about just things of the game, character kind of reveal kits, patch updates, anything and everything, right? So if it's something you're interested in, I'd really appreciate the support. And if you find this stuff useful, like and subscribe to the channel. I do plan on, again, updating and uploading every single day, so your support would be greatly appreciated. Thanks again. It is Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas to everybody. Have a good Happy New Year, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.